My name is Abingdon, and welcome back to the Abingdon Co channel, where we go on adventures with women in non-traditional industries. These are some of my favorite times with you because I love reading from this book and it pumps me up. It just gets me going. Hopefully it's doing the same for you. If you've seen one of these episodes before, I read from this book called Women's Work, and I have been reading this every morning just to kind of get my day going. And it's a collection of all these different women and the non-traditional industries that they're in. So today's story is going to be about a pair of sisters, Heidi and Renee Moneymaker. Great last name. They are both movie stunt women. Heidi Moneymaker. My sister and I were both extremely competitive gymnasts when we were younger, and we both earned scholarships to college. Renee earned a scholarship to San Jose State, and I earned one to UCLA. I'm older and went to college first. Once I graduated, I met a few people that had entered the stunt business. I would work here and there when they needed a gymnast to double somebody. Eventually, I decided to pursue it because the money was good and it was fun. Pretty early on, I got a job doubling for Drew Barrymore in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, and I just loved it. I was hooked. Down the road, I asked Renee if she wanted to be involved because she was a really good height and she had the gymnastics background. She wasn't sure about it, but ultimately asked if I could help her get some background gymnastics work on a TV show. When Renee first got going, it was always, "Oh, you're Heidi's sister, you're Heidi's sister." But now Renee's so established and has done such an amazing job that she's now considered one of the top stunt women of all time. These days, people I haven't met before will come along and say, "Oh, you're Renee's sister." So it's full circle. I've had a lot of great mentors over the years. When I got my first job, the stunt coordinator and second unit director was a guy named Mick Rogers. He knew that I was brand new and didn't have any real stunt experience, so he asked me to make a tape for him. He liked what he saw and asked me to come work for him. But he also knew that I was new, so anytime I went to do a stunt, like a stair fall or high fall or wire stuff, he would take me aside and explain how the stunts worked and the choices I could make, like falling backwards or forwards, for example. He'd always give me an option. He was a big influence not only because he brought me to big jobs, but he walked me through them too. That doesn't happen very often. There are also a lot of amazing women who have inspired me. This is going to sound kind of funny, but a huge inspiration was Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. Not her necessarily, but the character, who was intense, strong, trained for everything. Just a badass kind of woman. I don't know, I still have her on my vision board. As a woman in the business, I've never felt like some man was pushing me down or prejudiced against me. It's just a fact that this is a male-dominated business. I mean, how many women grow up thinking they want to get hit by cars? I looked at it like I was entering a man's world, so I needed to figure out what I wanted to do and where my place would be. I looked around, and I saw a lot of stunt women who were trying to make their place in this world too, but they were women in a man's world trying to act like men to fit in. I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I want to be feminine, and I want to be a female. I'm not going to try to be a man, but I am going to work really, really hard so that no one ever looks at me and says, "Oh, she's good for a girl." I want to be good for anyone. The first day somebody came in and said, "Oh yeah, that's Heidi. She's the best stuntman I know." I was like, that's what I've been looking for. We were lucky though, because of our upbringing. Our mom's super tough, but she's feminine as well. So I think we grew up with a good mentality for moving between feminine and masculine. But other than our mother, Debbie Evans and Donna Evans were huge mentors of mine. Earning their respect was a big deal because they are two of the premier stunt women who have gained admission into the boys' club. But they're better than most of the boys at driving and riding motorcycles, for instance. They are the cream of the crop. They are respected by the men, but are very, very good and very humble. I think also with the rise of Disney and Marvel that there's a new movement of including women more. We know it's happening, and it's nice. In the past, women sometimes had to climb uphill for these roles, whereas now, women are getting big opportunities like the men. I think that men and women both bring very integral things to a film. I like what's happening now, but I still want to keep the female-male balance in there because women bring something to the table and men bring another thing to the table. That collaboration can create something much better. I believe that it's my job when I'm running, standing, walking, or doing anything in a shot to mimic the actress as much as possible, to become them. When it comes to the action stuff, I'm never probably going to get enough training time or somebody who's potentially able to move like I move, so I don't worry about that. When it comes to the action, I'm just trying to make them look as badass as possible. But as far as the simple stuff, I try to mimic them. If I had to give advice to any young person trying to become a stunt double, I'd say be humble, work hard, ask a lot of questions, be prepared, and never do anything that you're scared to do. If you're nervous or something's intense and you're excited and you have adrenaline, that's one thing. But if something scares you, if you're afraid, don't do it. Once I was doing a car turnover scene. I was flipping a car. The location they chose had a cliff with a 200-foot drop-off into a canyon. There was likely no way I could have reached this cliff, even if I tried, but for days it plagued me. If by some horrible miracle I was able to reach that cliff, that was game over. But I pondered it for a couple days and I finally said, there has got to be another spot. The team was very cool about it and moved it down a little way to where there was no drop. I was very lucky I had a team that respected me and was willing to fight for a location change. But I'm confident now. When you're first getting started, it's really hard to tell somebody no because you feel like you're going to get blackballed. But it's just not worth it. It's really hard. But you can say, you know what? I'm feeling somewhat uncomfortable with this. Is it possible to ... You never know. Sometimes if you're just suggesting a small change, it might set in motion a series of changes that can actually fix things. And now her sister, Renee Moneymaker. When I was still in college, I remember thinking, oh, it might be fun to work on that show for a summer. So I came to Los Angeles, and once the show was picked up, I matched one of the girls really well. It was called Make It or Break It on ABC Family, where I worked pretty regularly for about a year. After about a month and a half, I was in love with it. I told Heidi I wanted to get more into stunt work. We started training together and with a team called 8711. But it all started with gymnastics. And now, I'm Captain Marvel, and Heidi is Black Widow. It used to be a compliment to be called a stuntman as a woman. It created this weird sense of making it. I rose up through the industry with a lot of that too, feeling that it's a man's world. You've got to be able to hang with the boys. My biggest influence was definitely my sister. She had been in the business about 6 or 7 years before I started. She was already one of the best stunt women in the game. Everyone knew who she was. So anytime somebody learned my last name, they were like, oh, you're Heidi's sister. Heidi taught me everything from the ground up. I had never thrown a punch in my life, never been in a bar fight, never been in a street fight, never been boxing. She really helped me along through my career and still does today. I love being on projects where there is a lot of prep leading up to the shoot, so you get to train with an actor a lot. You have a part in training and grooming them for this part, but you also get to work together on creating the action. I try to study someone from the first time I meet them. How they stand, how they walk, maybe how they would run. When I'm doing their action, I try to take on some of those characteristics, but enhanced and more dynamic. I wouldn't say there are a lot of times where I've been told I couldn't do a stunt because I was a girl, but there are sometimes conceptual issues. Someone might suggest more girls in a fighting sequence, but, well, most people don't really want to see a girl get punched in the face or thrown into a wall. In the past, action films were mostly filled with men, and a token girl was the love interest. Now, we're entering an era where we are seeing more women in leading action roles. And that's that. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoy these stories. There is a link down at the bottom of this video so you know where to get this book called Women's Work. And I look forward to reading you another story on another episode. Thank you so much for joining me.